Everyone, hope everything is going well. Today I've decided to do an impromptu live stream, and I'm just going to talk about whatever, and as more people come on, then we're going to see what they have to say. T-Dog, Tear, hey, how's it going, man? Hope everything's going well. Okay. So Michael says, "Wow, what's going on?" So yeah, pleasant surprise. Yeah, my wife's out of or she's not home right now, so I decided, hey, why not do a live stream? I'm not going to work out right now, so I'll do it tomorrow. But anyways, oh yeah, let's look at another comment. Vintage sports card, what's up from Pennsylvania? What's going on? It's kind of cold here in Chi-Town or in the suburbs. So I wanted to look at a few things. Number one, I noticed that Sean Payton is going to the Denver Broncos, right? So with Sean Payton going to the Broncos, the offensive scheme of the Denver Broncos should be much stronger than it was last year. You have to remember Sean Payton was successful with Jameis Winston, in my opinion. And a vintage sports card says, yeah, it's freezing here too. Yeah, I wish I were in Florida, but I've been used to this all my life. But yeah, going back to Sean Payton had decent offensive schemes with Jameis Winston. And if he was able to do all right with Winston and also Taysom Hill at that time, what can he do with Russell Wilson, who had a pretty lousy season? I think that Russell Wilson can improve next year. And is Sean Payton implementing a spread offense? I have no idea what he's going to implement, but he has success with quarterbacks. I mean, Drew Brees, obviously, he had success with him. You have to remember, Drew Brees for a quarterback isn't that tall. Russell Wilson isn't that tall. I think Russell Wilson is 5'11", and if you look at Drew Brees, I think he's 6'1". Usually a quarterback that's successful tends to be around 6'3" to 6'5". So I'm pretty sure that Sean Payton could definitely make it work out there. Now, you have to ask yourself, does that mean that Russell Wilson cards could be attractive? Who knows, right? Not investment advice. I mean, I bought a bunch of Russell Wilson cards in 2017, 2018, right? Or not 2018, 2019. So it is what it is. I know a lot of people speculated, hey, he's going to go with the Broncos and his card prices are going to go up like crazy. So, that's just something to note there. Now, going into other topics, I want to look at the Seablez interview that I did the other day. That was a really good interview that it was one of the good interviews that I had. It was trying to hear a different perspective. Obviously, I don't agree with Seablez. I've called out Seablez in the past. Let's look at some other comments here. Russell's cheap as hell right now after that season. Yeah, after that season, now we're going to go into the off season. So I'm just thinking, hey, prospecting wise, is Russell Wilson a good risk reward? 100% Peyton turns his team around. Russell cards need that. Laugh out loud. Yeah, for sure. And I'm just thinking, okay, he's in Denver with Mile High, right? And you have to remember Peyton Manning rejuvenated his career when he was in Denver because people said, oh, he couldn't play with his neck injury, but he was able to. And I think I would not be surprised that Russell Wilson definitely improves. T-Dog, Sean Payton's going to get rid of Russell Wilson after 1 year. How is his contract set up? How many guaranteed years? Anyone in the chat? Vintage sports card. Kyrie is a team killer. I think Kyrie was ticked off and how he was treated from Brooklyn, and I think he just wants a change. And yeah, this is what Yeah, boy. And okay, I don't know what to respond. All right. Russell Wilson's whole reputation is on the line, let alone cards. Oh yeah, for sure. If you're thinking about it, Russell Wilson was on the track to becoming a Hall of Fame quarterback. With that season, does it mean that he's not going to be a Hall of Famer? No, but he definitely needs to prove himself once again. I think that Pete Carroll's offensive schemes definitely helped out Russell Wilson. And Russell Wilson not being, once again, on the tall end, he's not a tall QB. That's interesting to note. Vintage Sports, the organization dropped the ball for Kyrie. I'm a Nets fan. All right. So, yeah, going back to C. Blez. C. Blez was an interesting guest that I had. And we talked about many factors. I wanted to do a video about this, but I might as well talk about it during the live stream. So a few topics came to my mind where I agreed to disagree with Blaz, and one of the topics was the loaded box theory. Now, I know his family works in the breaking business, and that may skew his viewpoint, and maybe he hasn't seen a bunch of what is it called? That means that his family hasn't seen, what many people have seen in the industry, right? We're seeing a lot of hanky panky go down. And I'm just looking at the fact that Panini Crown Royal situation, that was definitely hanky panky going down, right? Loaded boxes, right? Now you have to ask yourself, what else is going on? So I flagged a few videos. One of them, I think, definitely looked weird. What looked weird was when you had this, what's his name? CC2. CC2 picked up a Blaze Jordan autograph. And in this box opening with Blaze Jordan, the last pack had Blaze Jordan. That seemed really weird, right? Can I prove without a shadow of a doubt that that was a loaded box? No, I cannot prove that without a shadow of a doubt. But that definitely looked suspicious. Okay. And also, Fanatics. Fanatics has an influencer marketer director. Now, I'm just thinking out loud. What is this director going to do with the influencers? Are they just going to give these influencers product to open? I think so. I saw the other day that the what is it called? DAP Sports and another individual, they opened some product out there. And this product was, I think, a F1 Dynasty 2020 box. And this box has a bunch of autographs based on me looking at the checklist from last year. And I'm looking at the checklist and, okay, you're going to pull an auto. So they did basically a marketing event for Topps, or a marketing promotion for Topps, where they opened that box and they said, hey, thanks, Topps, for this box, basically. And they pulled an autograph, right? And Pancake Analytics and I were going back and forth saying, like, hey, was this a loaded box? My first thought process was, hey, that was a loaded box. But after looking at that, I saw that, hey, look, that wasn't a loaded box, in my opinion, based on the checklist. The checklist showed that, hey, look, you're going to get a lot of autographs. So once again, even though I think a lot of hanky panky goes down, it doesn't mean that every time a box is open, that's a loaded box. So you want to get that out there. The other thing that I noticed was DAP Sports. DAP Sports, when he was pulling out all these Star Wars cards, right? These Star Wars cards had, what is it called? he was pulling all these hits from what people were telling me compared to other individuals out there. They were pulling some hits here and there, but not to the extent that Daps was. Could be because of volume, sure, or could it be because of the relationship that Daps Sports has with Fanatics? I mean, that was just my thought process out there. Ryan says, I wonder if the FTC will be looking into Fanatics having the sports license as monopolistic practice in the future. Yeah, I wonder what's going to go on. Now, the thing is that Michael Rubin, I think he has enough confidence in people where he may get away with it. So you have a lot of the tech industry. The tech industry tends to, they try to scrutinize it more in the past compared to maybe this type of industry. And I'm also looking at the fact that, okay, they have bedding, they have clotheslines, right? Where they have all these clothing that you could buy from Fanatics, and now they have the MLB licenses. Now, the thing is, will any FTC come after them? It could, but as of right now, probably not, if I were a betting guy. And I think, Ryan, you need to come on one of these days and you could talk about the history of these licenses. And when Topps was dealing with Fleer and what happened in the 1980s, and you said that it actually started in the 1960s and then actually in the 1970s, that's when some of the court cases went on. Eventually, Fleer was able to sell their cards, their baseball cards, and they could sell it with a sticker. And then with Topps, you had number one, the card sold with the gum. So that's something to note out there. And that just created an excess amount of supply. And I'm just thinking that, hey, look, we have all this excess supply. And in my previous video, why are these young kids, or not young kids, why are these kids in their 20s? I said kids again, but why are these young adults in their 20s? Why are they buying up all these high-end cards where, okay, yeah, in the short run, you could make a ton of money, but in the long run, that could be the next Anthony Hardaway. I remember Hardaway was amazing. Penny Hardaway was amazing when I was younger. And all the injuries actually ended up hurting him. So that's something to note. And I see all this money being thrown into Herbert. I see all this money that's thrown into these young prospects. What if they turn into the next D Rose? This was the conversation I was having with Blez. And he's part of that younger crowd. And I'm not bashing him here. I'm just saying that, hey, look, okay, yeah, risk reward. If you get the right prospect, you could make a killing. And I'm not talking about 2018, 2019, where you could have just thrown your money anywhere and you could have made a ton of money. Now it comes down to, hey, it's the right prospect that you're getting into. And he was talking about Wagner. I think Wagner went to University of Michigan. This was when I remember that dude playing in college because he played my Loyola Ramblers. And, unfortunately, the Ramblers couldn't go to the championship game. But, yeah, they weren't even on that level to probably compete well in the championship game. But he was talking about, hey, look, if I throw in $4K in Wagner, guess what? If he does well next year, that card's going to go up. I mean, that's, in my opinion, is highly speculative. And yeah, he does have a ton of money. There's no doubt about it. But is that something I would put money into? No, I would not. I'd rather put money into individuals that have good track records, who are retired or on the cusp of retirement. I'd even put money in LeBron at this point. Steve Splenda, what up? What up? Yeah. speaking of Steve, he showed me that, hey, he was buying some LeBron cards because, hey, look, he's going to pass Kareem's record. And then on top of it, you're going to see him play with the son, and then the card prices should pick back up. The economy will be improving for the next year. So it could be a flip for some individuals out there. Michael says, Seabla's had a few good takes on the loaded box of topic because to me, it looks like great marketing for the industry and hobby. Yeah, that's what I think. I think that, hey, if you open a pack or a box with an autograph, it's going to tell people, hey, look, that guy got a hit. Maybe I can get a hit, right? And when I look at that, I tell people, look at the checklist, look at the probabilities before buying something. Just because you see something on YouTube or on Instagram, you got to be careful. You have to be really, really careful. Okay. LeBron is definitely a buy. He's one of the GOATs with Jordan and Kobe. Yeah, most definitely. Now, I find it quite interesting. Like our generation, we always say, hey, Jordan, Kobe, LeBron. None of them talk about Wilt Chamberlain, right? Wilt Chamberlain, some people argued that he was one of the greatest players of all time. And they ended up changing rules, which ended up helping Jordan. I was talking to one of my buddies about that. Now, I would argue that defense was intense in the 80s and 90s. I mean, look at the Bulls Pistons. I don't remember that. I was way too young for that, the Bulls Pistons rivalry. But I do remember, the Pacers and the Knicks. Those were fun series growing up. And a lot of people these days, they don't realize that defense was key back in the day. They say, oh, Steph Curry. Steph Curry wouldn't be able to do what he's doing now. I mean, Reggie Miller, just imagine if Reggie Miller played in today's basketball. He'd be phenomenal, in my opinion. Sarah just left Backyard Bros. Could she have been recruited by Fanatics or other big breakers pulled away by Fanatics? Who knows? At this point, I would not be surprised at all. And the thing is that Fanatics is going to be recruiting a lot of people right now. This is why a lot of people, they do not want to go after, how should I say it? They do not want to go after Fanatics the way that I do. And the reason is because, hey, they don't want to get canceled by the industry. They have to watch what they say. And I noticed this last year with the situation of what is it called? The zero cool cards. Remember those zero cool cards where those individuals on the secondary market were shill bidding? Well, no one really discussed that because they don't want to be canceled. And I talked to P. Ryan about that. And P. Ryan said that, hey, look, no one wants to, what is it called? No one wants to be canceled. And that sucks that people can't speak out, even though we know what was going on, right? All right, let's look at this. Bill Russell, Will Chamberlain, MJ are GOATs, period. Yeah, for sure. And there was at a time Jerry West was considered a pretty good player as well. But you could see that Michael Jordan, in terms of how he viewed his elders, he had a lot of respect for the people out there. And I think that's what made MJ special. As much as of a jerk MJ was to everybody else. Love the classic player. Bought a Bob Cousy auto card last year. Right. So like Bob Cousy was a pivotal member of the Boston Celtics, right? And I see all these like young dudes who have money, who come from money, they're throwing money into these prospects. And unless you're trying to flip, the long game, you know, how many people are going to remember a Draymond Green, the next generation, right? He was pivotal in helping the Golden State Warriors win championships, right? Kawhi Leonard. How many people are going to remember him winning 2 championships, right? People were throwing money in him. And Harden, right? A lot of people were throwing money in Harden and Durant, right? Is Durant? I know Steve Splenda's here, right? But 30 years from now, how many people are going to be talking about Kevin Durant, right? I know that's going to probably trigger you. Steve says the GOATs are MJ, Kareem, Bird, in my opinion. I mean, a lot of people, they don't even, our generation, they don't throw that much money into Larry Bird, right? I barely remember Larry Bird when I was young. Maybe 91, briefly, 92. Money Mike says LeBron not even top 20 in my opinion. No, I think LeBron is definitely up there. LeBron James would have been able to dominate the 1990s. There aren't that many players today that could dominate in the 1990s. I think LeBron James would have easily fit in terms of his play. Jer'Amon has a decent podcast and works with TNT. I could see him being kind of relevant. Now, what about Charles Barkley? Like Charles Barkley, is he still relevant? I mean, I like some of the things that he says and some things I don't. There's Shaq. Shaq is relevant, right? He's on TNT. How many people spend an arm and a leg on Shaq, though, right? I mean, he does own a bunch of Papa John's pizza. Don't you blaspheme on KD. Greta, how dare you? That's funny. Ryan McClanahan saying, for me, Larry Legend, MJ, Chamberlain, Kuzi, Russell, and Spud Webb. All right, Spud Webb. Bring Seablez and Tyler on your show. I don't know if Tyler Santiago Sports would even want to do that. I've never messaged Santiago. I do know he's pretty big, and I think he'd probably not even come on. I'm all channels. Seablez, you know, he wants to do collaborations with everyone, right? I know that he's going to be doing some sort of collaboration with what's his name? Jeff Wilson. That's what I sent a story about that. Charles, what's going on? People still buying sports cards? What the hell is doing? Well, when no one wants to buy a sports card, this is probably a better time to buy, not long term, because I see that great reset that all these guys are talking about, probably 2024 to 2026. Anyone buying now, you know, I would, if it's me, right, and I'm buying, I'd probably hold it for a year and then you could flip it then, in my opinion, with the Fed pausing. So I went on the Cousins Live, gave my take on KD. Bias aside, he's not very collectible, and he's going to be one of the greatest NBA talents that has a sour legacy attached. I think people are going to be like, hey, look, KD left Oklahoma, and he left Oklahoma. Then he went to the Golden State Warriors, and he won a couple of championships. Stephen A. roasted him when he did that, right? He did it the easy way, right? He could have tried to win with Westbrook when Westbrook was in his prime, but that didn't work out. If you're caught holding the bag with Shaq, so be it. He was one of the most dominant players ever. Yeah, I have a Shaq autograph. I don't know where it is. Maybe I should look for it. I don't know. I showed it in one of my older videos. People say, hey, you don't collect. You don't show your stuff. Yeah, I mean, all my older videos, I used to show what I had. then, people say, oh, you're pumping this, you're pumping that. So, I just show it on IG if I decide to show it at all. Now, sell me all your KDs. Steve, are you investing in KD or are you collecting KD or speculating? Money Mike says, where has the great curator been up to lately? He's, I believe, visiting Southeast Asia. I think he posted a video where he was in Korea. Steve Splenda, Stephen A is a beta and no one can win with Westbrook / LeBron. So the thing is that Stephen A, I think he plays the role of an actor basically on ESPN. I don't think, hold up a second, I'll be back. Yeah, sorry about that. So, yeah, Stephen A plays the role of an actor, in my opinion. I mean, there are times where he sounds very rational, and there are times he sounds like a crazy man. And the thing is that, I think he's trying to move to Fox, or he's trying to host late night. So he's going to probably show that hey, look, I'm a rational dude. I'm not going to flip out on people like I do on ESPN. Not even LeBron. Trading cards immortal. What's going on, man? Okay. Charles, people should flip crypto instead of cards. 1,000x more liquidity and risk, but 10 to 2,000 gains. Let's pump coins. Now, I'm not a Bitcoin bro or a crypto bro, but I do believe the next year or so should be bullish for crypto. And if we've seen the moves so far in some of these stocks associated with crypto, and as a disclosure, I have some of those stocks, or I did. I think I sold Coinbase earlier this morning, but I have some exposure to MicroStrategy. I have exposure to Robinhood, that stock. That's how I play it. I don't deal with the actual underlying. Maybe like a little bit of Bitcoin that I do actually have in my Robinhood account, but that's it. But yeah, I do think that Charles, you're right about crypto. I think crypto will see decent gains, in my opinion. Crazy. I mean, Kyrie going crazy again. Yeah, so he wants to trade. I mean, Kyrie has always been like this. Now, the thing about Kyrie is that the Nets probably didn't treat him the right way, and the state of New York. I'm not going to get too much into that, but how do you feel about buying Jalen Brunson RPA? I have no idea, to be honest. Collecting KD, it's about PC for me. Some cards I do speculate with markets, like LeBron Chrome rookie I picked up. Okay. Judson, ESPN in general is awful. They have completely fallen off. Yeah. So here's the thing about ESPN. So here's my tinfoil hat. I remember Jay Mariotti used to write for the Sun Times, and his career went AWOL once he allegedly assaulted his girlfriend, but it came out that he didn't assault his girlfriend, but he was basically canceled. And he just does like freelance journalism, I think, right now. And Jay Mariotti talked about how the previous owner, or the previous guy that ran ESPN, well, he was busted using cocaine or some sort of hard drug. And the conspiracy was that, hey, look, was there blackmail on this guy, right? I'm just thinking, like, are these guys, on ESPN, are they blackmailed? So they have to go to, this political agenda on ESPN that is divisive. And half the people, we talked about this the other day about C. Blez, right? C. Blez was talking about he doesn't want politics, right? So That's what happens. Regardless of whatever the politics is, no one really wants to hear it. They want to hear sports. Do you think some of these more popular Panini inserts, Downtown Kaboom, will become less desirable when Fanatics takes over? That's tough to speculate on, to be honest. I'm not sure. Let's look at this. B. Cox says, what are your thoughts on Seablaz now that you've interviewed him? So this is what I told a few people, some of my friends. I said that I have respect for him coming on my program. There are people in no way, shape, or form want to collaborate with me because I say whatever I want. I ask whatever I want. And the fact is, he's part of the industry. He hangs out with all these, influencers. I know he's doing a collab with Jeff Wilson, those guys, right? And the fact is, he said, hey, let's talk about stuff, right? I'm like, okay, sure, why not? And he says, you can ask anything you want. So I respect him for coming on. I obviously don't agree with him. I think Kyrie is bitter with Brooklyn and to leveraging contract negotiations. I think that's what's going on. Nets aren't paying Kyrie. I say trade to the Lakers for Westbrook and reunite the OKC Thunder in Brooklyn. I'm a Nets fan and would prefer Kyrie. He's my favorite player, but the organization is incompetent. Yeah, the organization is incompetent. I think the owner, is his last name Sai? He is very hypocritical when it came to all that stuff that went down earlier this year. I'm not going to get into that, or it was last year. And I think the NBA wanted to make Kyrie or show Kyrie, hey, if you do certain things like not take the jab, well, guess what? We're going to punish you. Do I have any MJ Auto? No, I don't. Eric Scott says Kyrie belongs in a mental institution. He and Derrick Rose should bunk up at the state hospital. Joker is taking over. All his rookies are super low pop. I know that Steve is a huge Joker fan. If you receive a $2 million PPP loan, what card would you buy? I would buy 2 Justin Herbert $1 million cards. Now, and all jokes aside, it would probably have to be some Jordan PMG card. I think like the 97, which rarely goes on sale. Steve Splenda says Aaron Hernandez RPA. Thoughts on Sports Card Anonymous? I mean, earlier last year, we had a thing, we were going after each other, but, we talked it out. And I'll probably have him on my live stream. I went on his live stream, I think a few months ago. That went well. And I'd definitely love to have him on. And we'll just chat it. Seablaz expects us to believe he has his finger on the pulse of the hobby, yet didn't hear a word on Panini tracking hits debacle doesn't pass the smell test. So you have to remember he does work in the industry, and I think he has to also be careful. I mean, I don't know what contracts his brothers have. So I have a couple nasty Jokers, and yes, he's a treat to watch. Anyone think that NBA All-Star cards will be hyped to the moon? I don't know, to be honest. I don't know. I'm pissed at you, AIH. No more Marvel bashing. You need to bash it at least 2 times a week. I'm going to be bashing it once you see record highs again. Once everyone says, hey, be positive, this and that. I actually got some 2 cheap Marvel cards the other day. You could call me a Marvel pumper, man. Top 5 quarterbacks of all time. Man, this is tough. Okay, Brady obviously is number 1. I'd say Manning number 2. Now it's up for debate. So who would it be? Would it be Montana? Would you put like Bradshaw? Or I don't know. After 2, I couldn't tell you, to be honest. I mean, this is where actually Sports Card Anonymous would be pretty good to get his opinions on this. He knows a lot more vintage quarterbacks. But what do you guys think? Who are the top 5? Brady and Manning, top 2, I would rate. David says Marvel cards are legit. Yes, Brady is number 1. No, it's not Iron Man. Steve stole my answer. Brady, Manning, Montana, Elway, Marino. So these are the guys in our lifetime, right, that we watched. But now I'm thinking, okay, before we were born. And I'm just thinking, was it Bradshaw? Like some of these guys in the 30s and 40s that I'm not too familiar with. Montana 2, Elway 3. I mean, the thing is that Peyton Manning won 5 MVPs, I believe. That's intense, right? If you win that many MVPs, that's crazy. Now, the reason why I think Brady was able to win so much was because he renegotiated his contract where he could actually allow the Patriots to get the players that he needed. And obviously, Bill Belichick didn't give Brady what he wanted. So that's just the other thing. Game changed so much in the 80s. You could say that. Yeah, that's right. The game did change a lot over time. Kamikaze, Jim McMahon got to be up there. Well, he's definitely in the Bears Hall of Fame for sure. Or if he's not in the actual Hall of Fame, but he's going to be always remembered for winning that Super Bowl. But I wasn't even alive at that point. So Peyton blew it in the playoffs too many times. Yeah, he did. I mean, he lost to Brady quite a bit from my memory. I was thinking that you had Brady and Manning. They had to deal with Ray Lewis quite a bit. And I noticed that I think when Ray Lewis retired, I forgot what year it was, but I remember he didn't have to deal with that. And he didn't have to deal with Manning. So, you know, he was able to win a few more Super Bowls after that. Shout out to Randall Cunningham. Good old days. Yeah, just name some leather helmet era QBs. You won't get any arguments because no one ever heard of them. Exactly. Unitas. Yeah, I've heard about Unitas. Now, I can't say too much because I never watched him play. I didn't watch his highlights either. So, top 5 running backs. Yeah, that's a good question. I was looking at all these Barry Sanders clips from the 90s. This is just from me looking at it. I'm like, man, that guy was nuts. That guy was crazy. I don't know how you could run like that. Now, trying to compare him to Jim Brown or Walter Payton, I was too young to remember Walter Payton or to, I just saw him in the highlights. So I'm just thinking, okay, Jim Brown, Walter Payton, who else in terms of running backs? I was around while Montana was still at Notre Dame. I wasn't even alive. I did read that, I think one time Joe Montana had frostbite, if someone could confirm, and then he had soup or something like that, and he went out into the field and he performed well. Can someone confirm that story? Joe Namath, only a person gave the Jets a championship. Yep. I think that must be Gary V's hero. Sammy Baugh was a leatherhead. Poe Jackson. Trying to offload a Hertz RPA. You'd be surprised how many people are passing on it because passing in the Philly region. It is a college university, though. Panini. Okay, yeah, that's the reason why. I think I have a Jordan Love, like college or an RPA. I think I have a few National Treasure autographs of him. Barry, Walter, Bo, Emmett, LT. Yeah, definitely Emmett Smith. You could put him up there. But then you got to definitely have Jim Brown. Jim Brown's definitely up there. He was very dominant. How was Gale Sayers? Obviously I didn't watch Gale Sayers. He recently passed away. There's a battle of sand where Tom Brady retired on eBay right now, and it's at 90,000. It's being shielded to the sky. So let's go. I'll shield it some more. There's so many shield cards out there. I mean, I was looking at Mahomes. I posted it on IG. Mahomes, Optic Hollow PSA 10. The dude had -1 reviews, who was the highest bid as of right now. And the person selling the card had 0 reviews. It's just unreal. Hanky panky all over again. Steve Splenda, Sanders, Jim Brown, Walter P., Emmett Tomlinson. Okay. LT. A lot of people saying LT. I'm currently putting together the top 250 running backs of all time. Any current quarterbacks making the top 5 list someday? You could have Mahomes, but it depends on him and his injuries. Okay. The thing that I would be concerned about Mahomes is that he is an electric player, but I remember electric players like D Rose. Now, D Rose didn't win anything. Mahomes has already solidified himself to be a Hall of Famer, but I think that's is health, right? If Mahomes can stay healthy and win a few more Super Bowls, he could. Yeah, Cotton Bowl versus Texas, the Montana legacy began, the chicken soup game. Yeah, I remember reading about that. Mahomes has a chance to make the all-time list. Yeah, it depends on injury. Gale Sayers' career was too short. You could say the same thing with what's his face? Barry Sanders could have played a couple more years. He was so dominant. I was shocked he retired. Gale was nasty, but only played 7 years. He blew out his knee, I believe. Yeah, there was a few years ago I had a chance of getting a Gale Sayers autograph, but I didn't want to wait that long. I should have. Don't people realize that buying football for future gains instead of other collectibles are a bad idea? Learned my lesson in the early 1990s. Well, if buying in 2018, 2019, speculating in basically any decent quarterback, you could have made a ton of money, like a ton of money, right? Yep, buy basketball. And yes, going back to the collectibles, I buy all collectibles, right? Gold, silver, crypto, etc. It's not only sports cards, but this is the hobby I like. Michael says, if I see Santiago to show and definitely ask him about the basketball game. That's funny. Emmett, Peyton, Gore, Sanders, Peterson, top 5 rushers of all time. Now, a lot of people won't put Peterson in because of, some of his domestic abuse stuff. Herschel Walker was also a beast, no doubt about that. Eric Dickerson and Campbell are my honorable mentions. Most running backs only play 5 seasons. Yeah, there's a lot of wear and tear on the knees, for sure. Steve Splenda says, Calvin Johnson is another all-time great who didn't play long enough. If Calvin Johnson played a full career, he'd be the GOAT easily. Yeah, he had talent, but he said that he wanted to live the rest of his life in a way where he wouldn't have medical problems. So I don't blame him. You know, he was definitely a great player for the Lions. They drafted all these players, but they never win. You know, Stafford was traded. Mangini, what's going on? Gale Sayers. Yeah, I never saw Gale Sayers, so I can't say too much about it, but I know that he definitely was a dominant player. And I'm just thinking out loud, like, Gore, how did Gore last so long in the NFL? Like, how much pain to the knees did that guy have? That must have been intense if you're just thinking about that. I'm just thinking, okay, before he gets elected to the Hall of Fame, then is there going to be an opportunity for people to be like, hey, look, I can make some money on it? You know, people were like speculating in Charles Woodson cards, right? Okay, I remember Charles Woodson when I was younger. They won that Rose Bowl or the championship, I think in 97 with Lloyd Carr. I don't know if Brady was on that team. Was Brady on that team as a reserve quarterback? I have to check that out. I know Brady won a bowl game in 2000, or he played in a bowl game in 2000. Sterling Sharp may have been the GOAT, got sick and ended his career. You think that he would have been better than Rice, Jerry Rice? So I think Sterling played with, was it Green Bay? If someone could correct me. Prime Calvin Johnson and Tomlinson were some of the most memorable times for me as a fan and youngster. Brady didn't win the national championship. Yeah, he didn't win the national championship in 2000. I'm just wondering when Woodson was there. Like, who was Brady on that team? That's what I'm wondering. I don't think Frank Gore was the sharpest tool in the shed. Well, the dude, his Wonderlic score, I don't think was that high. So from an intelligence point of view, I don't think he was that bright, but it doesn't matter for a running back. You just got to see the opening and you just run through. Yeah, he was a Packer. And then his brother Shannon Sharp was on the Broncos, if I remember correctly, right? I opened a bunch of Skybox packs in the mid 90s, but never hit a PMG. Yeah, the PMGs now, they're the thing. I don't think they were that popular from my memory when they first came out, but then over time, collectors and speculators had a fondness of those cards. He put up better than or as good as stats as Rice and won receiving Triple Crown and didn't have the quarterback that Rice had. So you're talking about Sterling Sharp. So Sterling Sharp, the QB during that time, was that Brett Favre from my memory? So Brett Favre wasn't, a Joe Montana, but he was decent if that's the case. Peter Foreskin was a good one. I thought Sharp played with Favre for a bit. Yeah, that's what I thought. Or that we're talking about Sterling. Shannon. Okay, so Shannon, we're talking about who's on Fox now. He was on the Broncos and Ravens. Won rings with both. Yeah, I don't remember him with the Ravens. but I do remember the Broncos. Sterling had the Magic Man. Magic Man. Yeah, you're talking about Brett Favre. Brett Favre was an interesting character. He always does things that make me think like, did he just really do that? He sent that picture to that cheerleader from my memory, and of his what, and then on top of it, this whole welfare, allegedly defrauding the state of Mississippi. Not good at all. Don Majowski. All right. For a bit, yes, he played with the terrible QB before Favre. Who's the QB of the Packers before that? Because as a kid, I grew up, I used to always joke around. I said, like, hey, Brett Favre ruined my childhood. Just watching him destroy the Bears year in and year out. And then, oh, yeah, after Brett Favre, they got this guy, Aaron Rodgers. Now, is Jordan Love going to ruin, my next 10, 15 years now as a Bears fan? I mean, a lot of people say that Jordan Love still needs work to do. I had a friend saying that like Aaron Rodgers was prepared to take over. He was that good, with the Packers. Like my friend knew one person on the practice squad of the Packers, I believe. So I don't know if Jordan Love is going to be that guy though. Majorski, yeah. Is that the dude that used to be on ESPN? The guy is this the guy in the I think this is a different guy than I'm thinking. Not sure the spelling, and Favre was no Montana. Yeah, Favre was no Montana, but he was an exciting player to watch. There was no doubt about it. Even me being a Bears fan. He showed that reporter his Peyton Man thing. Yeah. And then I think after that, Brett Favre decided to retire, if I remember correctly. It was Don Majorski before Favre. Okay. Yeah, that I don't remember. He played with Favre before Favre was Favre. He wasn't great his first few years. Yeah, I don't remember his first few years, but that was with the Falcons, if I remember correctly. So Majowski led the league in passing, then got hurt. Yeah, that I don't remember. Okay, that was from Buffalo, Ron Jaworski. Okay, so different guy. Yeah, he played for the Eagles. I remember that. Like, speaking of the Eagles, I saw something weird on YouTube where I was just finding like a who punts on like third down, right? Or on like second down. And I saw some clips where Tom Brady, I couldn't believe this. Tom Brady used to punt the ball on third down sometimes, just to like fake out the defense, because like on fourth down, okay, the receiver's going to get the ball. But I saw the Eagles, one weird play, just YouTube it. They actually punted the ball, I think, on second down. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. I just want to see, did anyone punt on besides the third down? And it was the Eagles. Very bizarre play. Look up receiving leaders when Sharp played. He and Rice were on all the leaderboards. The Packers were terrible at the time. The thing is, like, Jerry Rice, it helps that Jerry Rice played with Montana. And I do believe Jerry Rice did use Stickum from my memory. Falcons drafted Favre, yes. Are you prospecting any up-and-coming Cubs player? Not really. I mean, I was prospecting before, like before the pandemic. I was buying a lot of Javi Baez cards. I mean, when I buy Cubs cards, it's usually as a collection, to be honest. I mean, to invest, if the economy blows up, crashes hard, I may invest in an Ernie Banks rookie card, but not right now. Not when the economy is probably going to pick up. I want to buy when everything's going to collapse. Look up Majkowski. He had a sick mullet and mustache. I definitely will. If you have a mullet, you're automatically an amazing human being. Pooch punt was a thing. Oh, yeah. John Taylor. When I think of John Taylor, I think of the economist John Taylor from Stanford. Mangini collection and Steve Young. Yeah, that's right. So Rice had 2 decent quarterbacks. Now, like, think of prospecting now, right? Like, all these guys are throwing money into Burrow, Mahomes, Herbert. Now, these guys could be Hall of Fame quarterbacks, right? But that price tag of $1 million, right? So $1 million, right? Steve Young. I think Steve Young rookie card from the USFL is a much better play, in my opinion, than throwing down $1 million in Justin Herbert, if you believe that sale, right? I don't. But, just the mindset of these young guys, unless they're, engaging hanky-panky, and that could be the case as well. They say we might avoid a recession, but who knows? Yeah, I think we're going to have economic growth for about a year or so. And I think it's probably going to go downhill from then, but that's a topic for another day. Taylor was opposite Rice. Solid receiver. John Taylor, Duran. John Taylor caught the game-winning touchdown against the Bengals. Okay, yeah, so that I wouldn't know. I was, once again, too young for that. Montana, Rice, Taylor was an unstoppable force in Temco Super Bowl. Very underrated. Let's go Eagles. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go in a few minutes. I need to get some dinner. But the thing is, who do you guys think is going to win the Super Bowl? I think that the Chiefs are going to win, right? I think, Eagles have a very dominant offense. But at the same time, I think like the storyline, like Patrick Mahomes, he has a high ankle sprain, and then, no one really believed in him. And then all of a sudden, guess what? He's going to win a second Super Bowl. I thought the tight end caught the winning TD against the Bengals. Dwight something or other. I thought he made that catch, but that was a different game. Dwight Clark. Who you got in the Super Bowl? Like I said, KC. Steve says KC wins. Dwight Clark won against the boys. Philly all day. Chiefs for the win. Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to be rooting for the Chiefs. But the weird part is, these Mahomes cards, I thought they would be a little more higher than where they're at. They're getting shielded like crazy. I mean, it could be the economic environment with higher interest rates and people just don't have the money because they're spending it on rent. That's the other thing. So I talked to an individual, my barber, and she told me that, hey, look, my sister-in-law, her rent, if she stayed in that same townhouse, she'd have to pay $2,400. She was paying $1,700. So they ended up buying a home. So how many people's rent or even mortgage? My mortgage went up a little bit because guess what? Something with the property tax, they took less than they're supposed to. So if everyone's rent mortgage is going higher, that means less money in sports cards. Unless the economy just improves because the Fed pauses and you could see a bump up in the mid-end and high-end cards. Steve Splenda, unfortunately, we're going to have to watch Jackson Mahomes twerk on the 50-yard line. He's been quiet lately. I think Mahomes told him to cut it down, and he told his wife to behave. The catch was in the NFC Championship game. Yep. KC. Philly is having Cinderella season. Philly by 10. And his trash wipe pop champagne on fans. Yeah, she threw a beer or something. Yeah, was it champagne? Like him and Jackson? Her and Jackson? Tried unloading 800 mid-range top-loaded cards today. 2 turned me down. Laugh out loud. My asking price was 50 cents per card. What does that say to you, AIH? I don't know what to tell you. I mean, 50 cents per card. I mean, I look at mid-range cards is much higher. Stagflation, yeah. Enjoy it while it lasts. Thoughts the Eagles at first. I've watched them all season. I think they have the most dominant team in offense, but the Mahomes storyline has me completely second guessing. Yeah. And you know how some of the calls went for the Eagles. Not for the Eagles, for the Chiefs. My mortgage went up because Joe Biden's a hoe. Oh, man. You got me, Steve. You'd be blocked on other channels if you talk like that. Tax lien season is upon us. Oh, yep. I just have the best month I've ever had in the stock market. The redesign came and went. I think a lot of people have done well this past month. I think a lot of people are going to be blowing it on cards now. More money in your account. I don't think we're in a recession right now. One more good year. 1 to 1.5 more good years. Anyways, guys, I got to get some dinner, but I appreciate you coming on. Steve says, that's why I watch your channel. Yeah, thanks for watching, man. Anyways, talk to you all later. See ya. Bye.